we can come back to these questions later. Of course, you were already starting to evaluate the ideas a little bit. The first one is probably a pretty big one. Do customers want it? Is there a need? Is there a desire? I mean, if you've identified it as a pain, an unmet need, then I'd hope for it. Well, do they want it enough to pay for it? That becomes an interesting question. And yes, they will pay for it. Well, how much will they pay for it? I'm curious, how many people here use Facebook? Hands up. Oh, well, you know, I ask my students, Facebook, so no. It's all Instagram now, sir. It's all Instagram. Anyway. It's free, right? Let's say this. If Facebook went to a paying model, would you be willing to pay $1 a year still to use your Facebook?
Yeah.
No.
$10 a year?
Yeah.
$100 a year?
No.
$1,000 a year?
No.
Okay. Well, it's interesting because
if every month installment, no problem.
at some point, that's one of the things that you're going to have to think about, setting a price, that market threshold. You know, I would probably pay, I think, $100 a year. After that, I start to, right, commit Facebook suicide, as they say, right? I might take myself off. But it is an interesting thing to think about. What is the size of the market? There might be people that absolutely love the idea, but there might only be 10 of them. Or there might only be 10,000 of them, but 10,000 is not a sustainable, model. So something to think about. Am I excited about this idea? Wow, what a great question. A friend of mine who has his own business, he'll actually be a future competitor of mine. I said to him one time, I said, Andrew, how do you know? How do you know that you're in the right business? And he gave me a great answer. And what he said was, when it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you're working on your business and you don't care, right? You don't care that it's 4 o'clock in the morning when you want to go to sleep. He said, that's when you know you've chosen the right business. That you're up working and you don't have to be enjoying it, but just that you're not bugged by the fact that you're up at that point doing it. He goes, that's when you know you've chosen the right business. And I remember being up one time at 2:30 in the morning going, God, I hate what I'm doing right now. So I said, obviously I need to change jobs. Okay. Alrighty. So as we start to articulate our ideas, we need to write them down. Why? Because writing them down helps us get organized. But also when you write things down, you're using a lot more of your brain than just the talking about it. You got to tell the brain tells the hand, I better write something down here. And here's the deal. All right, here's the deal. You need to do a business plan. No one has asked me yet how many pages. And the answer is, well, it's up to you. Okay? There is no set length. Okay? There is no set content. There's highly recommended content. Okay? But remember, I'm not the one that does the marketing. Okay? The marketing is done by the marketing team at your university. So I'm not going to tell you I think you should do exactly these things. I'm going to tell you I really think you should do these things. As I said earlier, 10-page, 50-page, 100-page length does matter to a certain extent when it comes to what they consider a good project. Bplans.com, wonderful website that has hundreds of templates of business plans, existing business plans right now. Please do not hand in one of those. It'd be very obvious where it came from. But, the template, the headings and all that, you can find on here. Lots of great resources on here. And every time I've gone back and I've asked, because this is the first time I've taught entrepreneurship for this organization, and I said, well, how long should I tell the students to be? And they'll say, let's go to the website. Okay, what should I tell them should be in there? Just tell them to go to the website. Okay, should they, with the financial plans, they have to do a balance sheet? Just tell them to go to the website. Lots of examples on there. Okay, so the great thing about this course is no exam and the freedom to make the plan as you want. The tough thing for a lot of people is the freedom to do what you want. All right, and again, as part of our free time later on, if you go in and start looking at them, or should I include this and include this, I can tell you more about what I think would be the things to include. That is in fact what we're looking at later on. But bplans.com, you need to register, and then you have access to all sorts of templates. Okay?
It's not insecure. I've heard that some plans
Oh, no. You mean multiple choice questions? No, 100% business plan. That's it.
But they say they're gonna turn on.
No. She's asking about the exam itself. Not
There is no exam.
The schedule says that there is
There's
multiple
MCQs,
exams.
there's multiple choice
They're
questions.
gonna get some
Okay, I will double check, but Miss Fatima, who's in charge of all academics, the email I received last week, 100% is the business plan.
Business plan.
I will double check with them. They might have done a cut and paste from another document. Okay, but there is no exam. So with no exam, there can't be any multiple choice.
Sure.
Okay?
What should we consider while doing the business plan?
hold on.
I'm going to talk about that next. Okay?
Keep relaxing.
You invest all your time with fun. And you do a better job than شو اسمه بدك تدرس للبطيخة وتدرس مش عارفة ايش.
تطلع لهذا مش اوكي يعني why we turn
Actually, could we go back to Porter's 5 courses of
Oh, I'm sorry. I
competition?
missed something there. It comes up later.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, sorry. The question was, can we go back to Porter's 5 forces of competition? I didn't talk about that yet. It comes up in the market research section. So, all right. So, as I mentioned before, the length of business plans can really vary from literally a 1-page business plan to 100-page business plans with all sorts of appendixes put in. There is as much variance in the style of business plan as there are, in fact, in the lengths of business plans. But this power all right, time for break. This PowerPoint that I also sent you outlines some of the key ideas that should be in any business plan. Go through it now. And to be honest, I remember when I did my MBA back in the day, had to do a little something called the GMAT exam. The math and the English part. There was also an essay. And in that essay section, they said to get a good mark on the essay, the number 1 recommendation was length. Make sure you write a long, or make sure you write enough. I hate to give that as advice, but there's something true to it. That when people go to read this, they're not going to be reading it or marking it, like going through I don't think it's going to be this sort of thing. I think it's going to be check, there's some interesting notes. Okay, I'm not saying that they're not going to mark it carefully, but I am going to say the good marks are the ones that have more information because it shows more work. Okay? I also highly recommend make it user-friendly. What do I mean by user-friendly? Well, make it neat, tidy, headings, subheadings. It makes it so much easier to mark. You have a section called marketing. Under marketing, the first title is target market. The paragraphs are spaced out. A big paragraph like this makes a marketer want to cry. All right, I'm telling you as a teacher. Right? I hate marking. When I get something that's easier to mark, it's broken down like that. There's bold, there's underlines, there's charts, where a table could be, when you do a competitive analysis and you've actually made a table instead of a bunch of paragraphs. Love it, right? Love it. It's much more user-friendly. Make sense? Okay. Because and that's true for the real world as well. I mean, if you're a venture capitalist or even a bank, you're probably getting venture capitalists. They're probably getting a dozen business plans a day to go through. Oh, right?
Can we do it as a presentation with a laptop?
You mean like as a PowerPoint? The short answer is I don't think so. But I'll check.
In a Word document.
Yeah, typically in a Word document. As a PowerPoint, I will check on that. Okay? And the reason I'm not saying a definite no is because in the cohorts where they're doing this over 4 days, they do a hard copy and they do an actual presentation. So there's a lot to be said for that value, but I'm pretty sure the answer would be no. Okay? But you actually do it in addition to. Right? Okay. Why, sir? Why? Why do we have to write down a business plan? Give us an exam. Give us a multiple choice exam, right? Much easier. Well, even if you are a really successful individual, okay, people are still going to want to see a plan. And even if you're a successful individual, you should still do a business plan to help with the development of your ideas. And a lot of times business plans will start as a series of questions. What is your competitive advantage? What problem are you solving? What is your target market? Who are your competitors, right? Helps you think things through. Helps you think of things you haven't even, gives you questions of things that you haven't even thought of yet. Helps you develop your ideas more broadly. All right, so a business plan is not just about getting money. A business plan is about helping you develop the ideas. Yeah, I think I just said all of that. Okay, so articulating a little more up there what exactly the business plan is, what the business idea is, the operational and the financial details. For those of us that hate getting bogged down in the numbers, well, this is where you need to get bogged down in the numbers, right? Banks and whoever gives you money, they want to see that you thought it through, and you should think it through. I was doing it the other night. I was thinking about my target goals for the next 5 years, and I thought, okay, well, if I want to earn X amount of money, how many sessions do I need to do every year? And how many every month? And how many every week? And starting out, it's like, oh, I only need to do 1 or 2 every month. But that'll only get me enough money to pay the bills. What if I want to be, successful and get the Lexus, et cetera, it goes up and up. So it helps you see, are you being realistic with your goals? Okay. Strategy is a good word too, because a lot of people, they think about their business as something they're opening, and they don't think about what happens next. They think about that we'll open it, we'll get ready, we'll survive. Great. Now, you said this is about your future security. What happens after 6 months? What happens after 1 year, 3 year, 5 years? A lot of business plans will include 3-year projections, 5-year projections. How useful that is, right? I mean, the economy does this, oil does this. A lot of things can go right or wrong, but you do need to think about these questions. And investors are going to want to know about them. Because investors are going to know, how do we get our money back? When do we get our money back? And that kind of sums it up, the last point there. It's not just preparing the plan, it's the process of creating it, the thought process that you, in fact, go through. That's why you help people that'll do it for you. You sit down with someone, they ask you all the questions, they write it, is this what you were thinking? They help you go through that process. And we'll do part of that, in fact, later on this afternoon, where you'll help each other. Alrighty, so any good business plan, or probably any project that you might have done in here, always starts with the executive summary. And the important word in here, ladies and gentlemen, is not executive, it's summary. I've had students write summaries that were almost as long as the rest of the business plan. All right, 3 paragraphs. And this is not in here, so you should write this down. Paragraph number 1 describes the idea. Paragraph number 2 describes the financials. Paragraph number 3 is up to you, whatever else you think is the compelling thing. But paragraph number 3 could be something about the long-term forecast, could be something with the size of the market, could be something about why you and the entrepreneur would be a good fit. But I would say your executive summary, if you could make it 3 simple paragraphs. Remember, it's somebody picking it up, they're reading it and deciding, do I want to read the rest of this document? And if they see a long page there, especially if they see that one deadly paragraph, they're going to be like this before they even begin. So even within the executive summary, I would have subheadings: the idea, the financials, the future, something like that, the fit. Now, does that mean I can't have 4 paragraphs? Sure, you can have 4 paragraphs. 5 paragraphs? Sure, you can have 5. But I'm saying 3 you could get away with. Define the idea. And by saying limit it, no more than 1 page, you're forcing yourself to articulate. If you give yourself 3 pages to describe the idea of the person, I mean, you shouldn't be taking 3 pages to describe the idea in the business plan itself. All right? I'm saying, the idea you should be able to explain in no more than 75 words. It's like 3 sentences, 4 sentences. The mission statement. You all know what a mission statement is, right? This is what the company does. This is our purpose for being. You understand the difference between mission and vision?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know why, but people have started calling things vision statements now. Whether that's melding the two together. After the break, we'll actually look at mission statements and why mission statements are in fact a waste of time. But business plans typically have a mission statement in them. Company history. Well, if you've existed for a while, or you're brand new, that would be part of it. Business and industry profile. So you could be asking people for money in an area they know nothing about. Tell them a little. You're doing something on tourism. Tourism in Kuwait is a 5 billion dinar. Is that the currency?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 billion dinar industry this month alone or something like that. So capturing people's attention, oh, there's some opportunity here. Business strategy, this is where we talk about the growth. Description of products and services, this is where you'd go into more detail, telling people about the idea. Remember, this is not the executive summary, these are the actual sections now. Marketing strategy. How are you going to sell? You taken marketing in here yet?
No.
One person? Okay. My colleagues that teach marketing with me, they hate me saying this, but marketing's easy. Okay? It's not a complex idea. And especially for something like the project you're doing, marketing's not complicated. But basically, how you're going to promote it, how you're going to price it, where are you going to sell it, and what exactly is the product or service again? But in more detail. Competitor analysis. So who's doing this right now? Nobody. Huh, really? Okay. So nobody's making customized sushi, correct? Correct. But is anyone making sushi? Yeah. All right, so you kind of got some competitors, don't you? Yeah, I guess I do. All right, well, spell it out. Spell who you are, spell out who they are, and spell out how you're different. Owners and managers' resumes. Well, when it says resumes, it could be a short paragraph describing who each person is. Very often, the owner, manager, or the people actually doing the business are the team that's put the initial money in. You and your partner, whoever, who you are, what's your experience, why should we bet on you? Now, what's interesting here, somebody showed me an example. They wanted to open up a laser tag. You know what laser tag is? Mm-hmm. You know what paintball is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but instead of shooting the actual paintballs, you got a laser and they got a target. So you're chasing them around and you're right? Trying to hit them. Their business plan, they had a description of who they were, their biography. All right, very nice, except it had nothing to do with the idea of laser tag. All right, so if I were to make a business plan and need some money, I'd put in the things about me being an educator and what I taught. I wouldn't probably put in there that I used to cut the grass when I was a high school student. Okay, so what you put into this section should be in fact relevant to the company you're looking to start. Why? Because otherwise it makes it look like, well, you know nothing about this business then, right? Plan of operation, how will you unfold, some timeline, financial forecasts, that's the money, income statements, cash flows. Request for funding, so how much money are you asking for? Exactly how much money are you asking for, and what do you plan on spending the money on? So we give you $50,000. Where will that go? Now, what's interesting, do you remember the dot-com boom? The dot-com bubble? 2000, right? Everyone was coming up with these great internet companies. In my home city of Toronto, Canada, one of the great legacies of the dot-com bubble was not the companies that were created, but it was the real estate that was renovated. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the expression brick and beam. You basically take old warehouses, you restore them, and you'll see like these offices that have the exposed brick and the nice beams. They kind of look like a cool place to hang out. So many of those were converted in Toronto, beautiful buildings. And so many of the companies that got funding, they were internet companies, spent all their money decorating their offices. I went into one, and it was beautiful hardwood floors and the exposed brick. They had a little cappuccino bar. They had the most expensive lighting and all these things going on there. That's what they spent their funding on. Right? They should have been sitting on milk crates and had an old table, that used to be a door, things like that. They're not in business anymore. Okay? So companies, if we lend you the money, they're going to care very much about what you're going to spend it on. So those are quite a few points. When you look at the example business plan templates, you'll see some that don't include some of these. You'll see some that include extra information. These are the basics, though. Cover this information and cover it in adequate detail, and you should be fine. Okay? Some of these things, like the owner and manager's resume, paragraph for each person. All right? Something like your competitive analysis, I recommend charts, tables that could go on for a couple of pages. All right? So focus on what you think is the most important detail in there. And competitor analysis, to me, is important. Now, if you wanted to start a hotel, and you had someone that used to be the general manager of a hotel somewhere, that's a pretty important thing to highlight. If you've got really no experience in it, then you're going to keep that section small. Okay. Some of these points I've already mentioned in terms of what makes a good business plan. Yeah, check for spelling and grammatical errors. We had a business conference 2 days ago, and this guy who was like a vice president got up to present, and he hadn't checked his PowerPoint. And instead of saying 2 important messages, it said 2 important massages. So what did everyone in the audience do? They're taking out their mobile phones, they're taking pictures and all that. He's on stage going, woo, they like me. I'm doing pretty well. In fact, everyone was laughing at him, right? I always use the analogy with my students is like, look, I could have on the most expensive suit, right? Beautiful shoes, expensive silk tie, but if I have a little curry stain on my tie from breakfast, what's everyone going to be looking at, right? They're going to see that little thing, and they're going to see the mistakes. Don't let them see the mistakes, okay? If it's something serious that you're really applying for, send it to a professional to check. Can you check this for me? I'll give you, $100 to check, make sure this is good. Not just because it's what people notice and distracts them, but also they're going to say, listen, they didn't care enough about their business plan, which they want like thousands of dollars from, to check these mistakes. Am I going to trust them with the money? I don't think so. Make your plan visually appealing. I already mentioned that idea about breaking it up with the headings, the paragraphs, bullet points. Write in a conversational style. Kind of. Okay? But it could be the idea of telling a story. It could be the idea that your business plan actually tells a story. And you introduce it to people and say, here to tell you about this great idea I have. And take it through. There's a natural flow to it. Table of content helps. Attractive cover? Well, yes. I mean, don't make it an unattractive cover, right? But very often the devil's going to be in the details. They're going to want to maybe check the executive summary. They'll probably next go to the back and look at the financials, and then go through the other details. Make it user-friendly, like I said. Okay. All good additional points. Yeah, avoiding the generalizations. I've been in a pitch one time. MDS, I don't know if they still exist, a big medical company, and we were trying to win all their real estate, and they were asking us questions, and the person doing the main sales job was talking about, yeah, we can do that. We can fuse with Synergy our main I said, answer the question, man. I was just the new guy in there, and I could tell he was doing an awful job. Be specific. Avoid overusing industry jargon. Do not use the expression best practices. right? I'm not marking this, but ladies and gentlemen, it's just awful, right? Best practices, what the hell does that mean? You know, really, who knows what the best practices are, really? It's just one of those things that I don't like, okay? So please don't say best practices. Make it interesting, like I said, make it appealing. There's nothing wrong with including pictures, because pictures can help spur the imagination.
Videos? Videos?
Video in there, you might refer them to a video. Cash flow, like I said, they're going to see, and I'd agree with that. Okay, between 25 and 50 pages. That sounds a good length to me.
Wow.
Okay.
ايش؟
هي بس
بس؟
So this should be
كتاب ولا 25
such a PowerPoint Word. We cannot do this manually.
You mean
Can I
handwritten?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you can do it.
Rubber
handwritten.
phone.
I don't want to do. I want
لا
to do
لا
it.
بقول لك
Yeah, 'cause you have to submit a soft copy. You know, you have to email it in anyway.
So it's okay to do it as typing.
Yes, no, you must do it as typing. It's more than okay.
Yeah.
And with the real version, tell the truth always. Because if somebody finds out a little lie about it, then you lose all the credibility. Now, you might be saying, but you know, I'm not really planning. I don't really. Now, this is for the assessment. Yes, you can embellish, you can get creative, but it should still be realistic. Okay, because that ties into what a real business plan is. Okay, people can say, does this seem real? You know, no pizza restaurant in the world will do $1 billion a day in sales. It's just not going to happen. Okay, so again, for the sake of your project, it doesn't have to be something like, but I don't have that money to do it. I don't have that background in computer. I don't know anyone. Well, keep it realistic. You know, don't say Donald Trump. No, you wouldn't want Donald Trump to be in your board of directors. But you know, don't say Mark Zuckerberg is going to be your partner, unless he's your cousin. Okay. Interestingly enough, let me see it right. My stepfather's best friend is the uncle of Justin Bieber. How about that? So, because he was my stepdad was talking about this. You know, do I want Justin Bieber tickets? I'm like, pardon? And he was like, yeah, you know, Don can get you Justin Bieber tickets. I said, well, where would Don get Justin Bieber tickets from? He said, oh, because he's his uncle. You want backstage passes? I said, wow. No, thank you. But my daughter might. How did I get on that topic? Okay. Alrighty. Last few things. Now, you're not going to be presenting the plan, but what I would say is, if you do ever have to present a plan to the bank or to some venture capitalists, there's a great video by a guy named Guy Kawasaki that talks about the best way to present something. We'll look at a Guy Kawasaki video later, and he talks about the rules for a presentation. And I can bring them up more then. But what he basically says is no more than 10 PowerPoint slides. Okay? No more than 30 minutes to talk, because it's going to take you forever to get your projector to work with the laptop. And no more on your PowerPoint slides, no smaller than 30-point font. He basically says you should have a few words and a picture to sell your ideas. Don't just jam it in filled with type. But basically, these ideas here, you're going to present, be enthusiastic. If you don't believe in the idea yourself, why should no one else? If you can't sell it yourself, you can't get excited about it yourself, right? Then the people looking to invest in you, they're not going to care. The hook. Do you understand that expression there, the hook? All right, what's going to get those people interested? What's that emotional connection? What's going to actually make them want to listen more and pay attention? You heard the expression elevator pitch? Have you ever heard that expression? Okay. What's an elevator pitch? Last thing we'll do before we go off to pray.
So raise money for your project. To meet the business objects.
Okay.
Until you reach the floor.
Some seed funding.
That would be the overall pitch, the elevator pitch. Why we say elevator.
The time to get from one level to another is how efficient you are. You can do it in that short period.
Yeah. Yes. So this expression, elevator pitch. Imagine you step into the elevator, and you step beside one of the guys from Sequoia Capital, which is one of the famous venture capitalists in the world. You're like, you could lend me $1 million for my idea, right? He says, so what do you do? Or why are you here? Right? you've basically got 30 seconds to explain to him what your great idea is. All right? It's the time it takes from the elevator to go from there up to the top floor. Now, I don't know if the top floor is like Empire State Building, and you got 2 minutes, or it's the 5th floor of this building. But the idea, you get the idea, the elevator pitch. So basically, if you were to ever meet a potential client, you should be able to articulate in no more than 30 seconds your idea. Okay? That's what they've called an elevator pitch. Now, I attended a business seminar one day, and they said, elevator pitch, throw it the window. You only tell them enough information that they ask you questions. Because if I go in there and say, well, I'm looking to open up a pizza restaurant that would leverage the dynamics of, elevator pitches sound kind of businessy. And he said, give them just enough information that it keeps them asking you questions. I was like, wow. So I learned this at a small business conference. And it was when I was working for the college where my job was to sell training. So at lunchtime, sitting beside some people, and they said, so what do you do? I said, elevator pitch, or let's try the new idea. So I said, oh, I work for Centennial College, and I help companies solve their training problems. Like what? Well, we can do any sort of training that companies need from, this problem to this sort of problem. Really? Do you think you could do this? So instead of me giving a big spiel, I gave them just enough that it made them wanting to come back and, come back. Now, that's tough. Because that first 2 sentences, how can I say my idea that makes them curious, that makes them want to know more, and makes me kind of hold it in and not say, no, please buy my product, all right? But it's something to think about. So, I help people, reach their financial dreams. That sounds a little kind of cliche. Really? How do you do that? Or I find the houses that aren't on the market right now. Really? Okay. Or I get that watch that no one else is making right now. Really? All right. So, a little something to think about. Before you go for break. Prayer time. Are we starting at 12:15? Does that sound right?
Ends in 12:15.
It ends at 12:15. Oh, so 12:20? You tell me. I don't know how.
No, we will.
When will you be
You
back,
live
guys?
now?
Tell me.
Live now. I'm back at 12:15.
12:15.
Yes.
You'll be back at 12:15.
Yes.
Okay, super. I'll see you at 12:15 then. That you see as part of the business plan. The plan is to go from now around 12:30. Oh my goodness, to approximately 1:30. So if you haven't had enough to eat outside already, my goodness, we'll go for lunch at 1:30 till 2:30, and then after 2:30 we'll come back and slog through. Okay. All right. Now, as I've already mentioned, executive summary is something that goes into a business plan, and it goes at the very beginning of a business plan, because the person's going to read that and decide, do I keep reading? It's the commercial, right? It's the preview. Do I want to read the rest of this business plan? The executive summary, though it appears at the beginning of the business plan, is actually the last thing that you write. Why? Well, you don't know what it's going to be about until you've finished everything else. Okay. What typically comes then, and you'll see in the business plan all different variations, but in a lot of them, you'll start out with some sort of objective. This is what the company wants to do. Something around a vision and a mission statement. Again, a vision is the plan of where you want to get to. The mission statement is where we are right now. I've never met a mission statement that I actually remember. And this is one of the big criticisms of mission statements. People try to cram too much into them, and they end up being a waste of time. Why? Because a mission statement is supposed to let people know, why are we here? Especially the employees. It's supposed to motivate. It's supposed to make you feel good about the job. But it doesn't. They end up being too crammed full of data. That said, you should still put one in your business plan. Why? Well, people expect to see them. Number two, you as the business owner will actually help you articulate in 1 or 2 sentences exactly what it is that you're trying to do. Okay? So please have one. Yeah. This last one is something which, if you read if you read your company's mission statement every day for the next month, you might remember. But very often people don't, because they tend to be fleshed out or fleshed in with too much detail. Set the tone for the entire company and guides the decision people make. In other words, it helps people know, why are we doing this? What's going on? Well, now I put this man's name in here. It wasn't in the original PowerPoint slides. A fellow by the name of Guy Kawasaki. And I really encourage you to write it down. Guy Kawasaki. Because for those of you who find this whole entrepreneurship thing interesting, or you want to learn more, he has a video presentation called The Art of the Start. He's an entrepreneur. He's a venture capitalist. Now, why is Guy Kawasaki famous? Not because of the motorbikes, okay? Not because he's Japanese, but because he used to be the chief marketer for Apple computers back when they first brought out the Macintosh. So he was there when like the magic was happening, right? He got to work with Steve Jobs back in the day when they were doing 90-hour work weeks and that sort of thing. So he had an inside look into the technology and the people and that. But fast forward, he now goes around the world giving speeches and I'm sure making lots of money about his ideas on entrepreneurship. So like I said, YouTube, The Art of the Start, fantastic video series. You can watch either small chunks or the whole hour-long one. He also does another interesting one called The 10 Things I Learned from Steve Jobs, which is interesting as well. But the part that we're going to watch right now is he talks about mantra. What's a mantra?
It's a sentence that you always say.
Right, something that maybe for meditation purposes you repeat and all that. Right. He kind of uses the same idea here. The mantra is a much shorter concept than a mission statement. You're basically summing up in a few words your purpose, your reasoning. So I'll stop talking because he's a little bit more of an expert than I am, and he'll talk about, even though I've said you should have a mission statement in your business plan, he talks about, I don't want to go there. What you really need to have is, excuse me, one second. He says, come up with a mantra. Okay. Not. Okay. Guy Kawasaki. Would that sound like too much of a geek? He's one of my entrepreneurial heroes.
But he got a very strange name. It's like a European name.
The second thing I learned is to make mantra. Many of you have not yet been polluted by the desire to make a mission statement. The desire to make a mission statement comes because you have a graduate school business degree, or perhaps you work for McKinsey for a summer, or something like that has ruined you. And so many entrepreneurs take it as one of the fundamental things they have to do is figure out a mission statement. So what they do is they grab the core team, there's somebody from marketing, from sales, from engineering, production, finance, HR, and they go off-site and they craft this mission statement. And everybody has to put their 2 cents in because this mission statement has to be workable for employees, for shareholders, for customers, for the dolphins, for the porpoises, in the ozone hole, all that has to be in a mission statement. So what I recommend is that you don't do a mission statement as a startup, because the mission statement usually ends up crap. It's too long, it's impossible to remember, it cannot even focus the company, which is what it should do. Inevitably, you will end up with a mission statement along these lines. The mission of Wendy's is to deliver superior quality products and services for our customers and communities through leadership, innovation, and partnerships. How many of you thought that that was Wendy's mission statement when you bought a hamburger there? How many of you think you could go to Trixie or Biff working at Wendy's and ask them, what's the mission of Wendy's, and they can repeat that word for word? It's impossible. That is a $50,000 mission statement done by a consulting firm. I love Wendy's, don't get me wrong, I love Wendy's. But the mission statement leaves a lot to be desired. By contrast, you should do a mantra. Do a mantra because it's only 3 or 4 words. It captures the essence of your organization. When you have 1,000 employees or 10,000 employees and you can hire a facilitator, you can go off-site and you can use McKinsey, God bless you, write this mission statement. It'll make you feel better. You can put it up on in your annual report. You can post it in your cafeteria, whatever you want to do. But right now, as an entrepreneur, make a mantra. Here are some mantras. First thing is, I think Wendy's proper mantra is healthy fast food. 3 words, healthy fast food. Somewhat oxymoronic, I must admit, but healthy fast food is something very easy to remember. Another good mantra, FedEx. FedEx's mantra in my mind should be peace of mind. Because when you absolutely positively want something, someplace, you think of FedEx. The FedEx employee is thinking peace of mind for our customers. A third mantra from Nike, authentic athletic performance. Just do it is the slogan. It's the slogan for the customer. Authentic athletic performance is the mantra for the employee. That's what a Nike employee stands for. Authentic athletic performance. And one of the best mantras is from Mary Kay, enriching women's lives. This is a good mantra because it works for 2 groups. The customer of Mary Kay, who buys the Mary Kay products, and also the salesperson of Mary Kay. It enriches both people's lives. So these are examples of mantras. And I would suggest to you that you come up with a 3 or 4 word thing like that. For me, my personal mantra is empowering entrepreneurs. That's what I do. Okay? Now, if some of you still have the desire to create a mission statement because, I don't know why, because you've been ruined somehow. So if you have this great desire to do a mission statement, rather than taking your team off-site and going away for a day and using a consulting firm and crafting some 50-word thing and wasting a lot of time and money, I suggest to you that you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. All you have to do is go to the Dilbert Mission Statement Generator website. And there, for absolutely no cost, you can get a mission statement like the one you want. Like, we exist to professionally build long-term, high-impact sources so that we may endeavor to synergistically leverage existing effective deliverables to stay competitive in tomorrow's world. So that's a mission statement. I mean, that's something you can be proud of putting in your annual report. Don't pay $50,000 for this. Just go to the Dilbert Mission Statement Generator website. Okay?
Make sense? Okay. So the awkwardness, the irony, is the fact that I'm here telling you that a mantra is better than a mission statement. However, I'm also telling you that a mission statement you should still put in your business plan. Why? Well, I'm not the one marking your business plan, right? They're going to expect to see a mission statement. And to a certain extent, writing it down the first time in longer sentences, I think will help you. I think there is something to be said for writing it down exactly, as they say here, what business are we in, the value idea, something along those lines to get you to put into a couple of sentences why you exist, what you hope to accomplish. However, the contrast is, I'm not just here today to teach you things to do for a project. I'm also saying for those of you who do move forward with an idea one day, this mantra idea, include that in your business statement too, right? What was the Wendy's one? Healthy fast food, right? We're in the business of healthy fast food. Do you think employees can remember healthy fast food?
Yes.
Absolutely, right? It keeps reminding you, why do we serve this and not this? What are we doing? For the business that I want to start, my mantra is learning that sticks. Learning that sticks, or training that sticks. And what does that mean? Is for me, that the pain, or the problem I've identified is too often, you ever go to a training and it's really cool and you learn some neat things, and then you're back in the office a week later and you're like, what did we do? What was that all about again? Why am I not actually practicing those? So my plan is to make a training program or train companies in a way where there is the follow-up, okay, where people do remember where the learning sticks. So learning that sticks or training that sticks will in fact be my mantra. You guys have chosen the coldest part of the room, haven't you? I'm sitting here sweating. You guys are... Okay. So, I look forward to hearing about your mantras later on. Alrighty. SWOT analysis. How many people have never heard of SWOT before? SWOT analysis, no? Alright, cool. Gives me something to talk about. Alright, SWOT. The letters stand for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Stay with me. Alrighty. Basically, what you're doing here is you're taking a look at your organization and a look at the market and identifying as a place to begin. S&W, the strengths and the weaknesses, are what we say are internal. They're about you. They're about your company starting out. Opportunities and threats are external, are what's going on in the environment. And if you're really keen, has anyone ever done a pest analysis?
Yes.
PEST or even PESTLE? Okay, where you break down those opportunities and threats. Yeah. Not enough time to go in that today, and that can be, but we'll just stick with here. So basically, this is one of the first things you do. You create a SWOT analysis and say, okay, well, what are the strengths of our idea? What are the strengths of our company? Idea people have never done before. We've got some pretty smart engineers. We're operating in Q8 where we can be in a free zone and yada, yada, yada. All the things that internally are good about you. Weaknesses. Okay, well, what are the things that we're not so smart about? It could be something as simple as, well, we don't really have any advertising experience in our team. Okay? I'll show an example in a sec. But SWOT, you write down all the things that your company is good at, weaknesses, all of the shortcomings. Okay. Opportunities. Well, the opportunity, as a big part of it, should be the gap or the pain that you've seen in the market. You see something going on right now. You see, you were over in America and you saw a style of jean that everybody was wearing, but no one has it here in Q8 now. Aha, we've got an opportunity. To add to that opportunity, you've learned that the population in Q8 that's under the age of 25 is like 50% of the market. Ah, huge opportunity. Okay? So what you see about the market, about your product, need examples of what would be an opportunity. Threats, what could hurt you? What could hinder your development? It can be everything as broad as the economy, government red tape to get things done, competitors that you know that exist in the market right now. These are threats to you. These are things that could actually harm your business. The weather. I was looking at an example business plan, and somebody actually had the weather as a weakness, which I thought, well, you guys don't control the weakness, do you? It's supposed to be internal. And I think they were doing it because they were looking at specifically a country. And so keep people coming here to our country versus somewhere else. And I said, okay, I can kind of see that. For me, because it's external, if you can't do anything about it, it shouldn't really be internal, I'd say. Here's the example I sent along. If memory serves, this is from a drug company. No, it was from a plant company. Okay. What they produce, their strengths there, they've got good experience. The weaknesses, they don't have the money right now. They can't move forward. No reputation yet. Yeah, sure, that'll be a weakness because you're new, starting out. Opportunities, customers are looking for an ongoing relationship with our botanical vendors. Okay, we see the need. People don't want to just buy one of something. They want to have a relationship ongoing. Threat, well, here's an example of the weather. Pests that could destroy the plants. Similar sized farms, people doing a similar thing right now. The important thing, I see in many cases, people will put a SWOT into their business plan and go, alas, finished. What do you think would make it better that you should do? Don't just put the SWOT analysis in there. What else could you do to build upon it? Yep. convert weakness to... All right, yeah, you should address it. You say, this is a weakness right now, and this is what we're going to do about it, right? It's like you have those job interviews where people say, what are your strengths? And they say, so what are your weaknesses? For God's sake, don't be honest. Well, I don't work very hard, I'm lazy, right? You always have a weakness which you can flip and say, and I'm doing my MBA right now, so that sort of thing. So yeah, you should address the weaknesses. These are the weaknesses, and this is what we're doing about it. Or this is why it doesn't matter. These are the threats, and this is what we're doing about it. Okay? So just don't put it in there. I mean, you could just put in the SWOT analysis, but the more impressive business plan addresses it. Okay? Management team. Who cares? Well, the investor could care about the management team. You are a bank, or you're a venture capitalist, one of those people that invest a lot of money that they want to get a 30% return on in the next few years. What do you think they would look for in a management team, right? So they come to the page on management team and your business plan. What do they want to see? Yep. Okay, are there people that have the qualifications to do the sort of things that you're looking to do? Great, that's one.
How much they would
Experience, capabilities.
Okay, are there people that have experience in that industry? Are there people with experience with startups? Great.
How much would you pay to have some certain kind of people or their privileges and everything? I mean, the wages and all.
You could. Yeah, this is so-and-so, and we're going to pay them this much.
You have to justify why they are overpaid or they are expensive.
Okay.
Return on investment?
Not for management team. Okay. Not for management team. This is we're just talking about the people. Okay, so you mentioned industry experience. Track record of success. Is there anyone you're starting a small, why don't we use software, because everyone's building apps these days, right? Has anyone built an app before? Has anyone been through the funding stages before? Has anyone taken out to market before? Okay? Even if it's not related to your business, has anyone been through hardship before? Has anyone taken an idea through to development before? Heck, maybe somebody was in the military before, right? Been through hardship, been through situations that take some effort and that take some determination. Skill set, you mentioned. Financial interest. In other words, the people in the management team, unless they're all 20-something, are you trying to recruit her to your team? You come work for me. You come work for me. They're going to want to see that they've actually put money into it. Have they actually put money into the business? We use the expression in English, skin in the game. Do you understand what that means? No? It's weird. No. What it's saying is, okay, if you have a management team and they're each putting in $20,000, they want to get their $20,000 back, don't they? And the only way they're going to get it back is if you're successful or you go to IPO or something like that. So therefore, they've got a stronger interest than putting no money in and just getting money from an external source. So investors are going to want to see that the people that are the senior management actually have a financial interest in investing in it. And it might say something like, so-and-so is investing 20% of the startup equity, so-and-so has put in $10,000 or something like that. Now, for your projects, of course, yeah, you can make it up, right? You can scenario. All right, this is me, these are my friends, we'll each put in $10,000, dirhams, dinars, what have you. The realistic factor comes in here. We're all going to put in $10 million. Well, they might call you on that one. Compatibility with investors' personality. So when you have venture capitalists, or even the investors could be a relative or a friend. Okay? You don't want to get into a situation where you're going to be, banging heads and one person is, incredibly aggressive, the other person's passive. That doesn't set up a good relationship. Yep. Say again? It may be that you've met with them before. Okay. It may be that there's like an interview where you talk about people, that sort of thing. It may be if you have a bigger investor on the management team that they, oh yeah, I've heard of him, I know him, and him and I just don't get along. Okay. Because as soon as these investors invest in your company and give you money, there's Guy Kawasaki talks about this. He goes, listen, he goes, you know the whole idea of 51%? You want to have control of your business, right? He said, forget about that. If somebody lends you 10%, 20%, they're calling you up all the time. They're checking on you. They want to know what things are going on. Okay, so you might have 51% voting share, but you're still going to have a huge responsibility to people. Okay. Any questions on SWOT? Management team? Pretty straightforward stuff, right? Okay. Market analysis. Who in here has done no marketing? Okay. Well, the next few minutes is your introduction to marketing. Congratulations. Target market. Who can tell me what we mean by the expression target market? Yes, my friend. Say again?
Segmentation.
That's kind of another word for it, but describe.
It's like to see the market, the people in the market, what they need.
Who are our
Okay, it's a good start. Build on it.
It says who will get a benefit of my service, my product.
The size of the market.
It's not size.
who are the buyers?
It deals with segmentation.
The customers?
Yeah, okay. Who?
Customers.
But we just can't, when I say, I used to say to my students, who is going to buy your product? Women. Which women? All women. I don't think so. Okay.
It's your target group.
Okay, but what do we mean by that? How do we segment them, to use the first word we heard? How do we segment them? Okay, and specifically, how could we, because there's a very funny rule. Business takes money, and part of that money goes to advertising, and advertising is very expensive, right? So we need to know which magazines, which newspapers, which shopping malls, right, do we actually advertise in? And we do that by trying to segment down as focused as possible. And I started to hear a couple of words that we segment by.
Income and age.
Income level,
And age group.
age group. Your who?
Geographical.
Physical geography, yeah, you can do that. Population.
Number of people.
Oh, there must be a critical size. Yeah, you could do that.
Certain businesses.
Yeah. There's some big ones here.
Gender.
Gender is one of the biggest ones, yeah. Lifestyle, good.
Income level.
Income level, people have mentioned, yeah. Hobbies and interests, good. Is everyone afraid to say ethnicity? Right? If you were selling Shah Rukh Khan videos, right, would you spend more of your time in the Lebanese community or in the Indian community?
What's that?
If you were selling Shah Rukh Khan, King Khan, you know? If you were selling the DVDs, the Bollywood, right? You'd probably spend more time in the Shah Rukh Khan, King Khan, right? All right. If you were selling those DVDs, I'm guessing you'd probably advertise them more on like the Indian TV channels than the Arabic TV channels. Just a guess, right? Not to say, you know, people from Lebanon don't like Shah Rukh Khan. But, okay. So, yes, that's how we actually target our market down. Now, when we do that, as I said, because you want to focus as much as possible, and this is one of the big promises that Facebook does, right? Because Facebook can go back to advertisers and say, look, you want to advertise to males living in Croatia between the ages of 14 and 18, right? No problem. We've got all that information. So your advertisement's not going to everyone. It's going to that specific, because we're doing all that data mining on the website. You know, do you think they ask you what your favorite movies are because they like you? No, this is all about narrowing down exactly who you are. Now that says, I keep getting advertisements for not doing my PhD, having someone else do their PhD for me. I don't know why. So, I'm not a criminal. So once you can target it down, it helps you get an idea of how big is the potential market. Like I tell my Emirati students, look, your target market is not all women. There's going to be a certain age group. And once you know what that age group is like, or what that income group is like, or even what geography it's more popular in this area is like, you'll get an idea of how big the potential market is. All women might be 5 million. Women under the age of 18 is maybe 2 million. Women that have that specific income group, maybe 500,000 again. So you've gone from 5 million down to 500,000. Pretty important information. Well, with market analysis, we should also know who our competitors are. Sounds pretty good, eh? And one of the frustrating things I found myself is like, I've got a great idea for a training program. Why don't we do this and this? And then I'll check on the internet, and you'd be amazed how many people are doing, I already thought about that idea, right? Doesn't mean it's not still not a viable idea, but it's amazing how many people out there are doing, X that you might have not thought about. What are the market conditions in this industry? This is where Porter's 5 forces come into play. I'll talk about that more there. Is it easy to get in? Is it a very saturated market? Is it a capital-intensive market? If you want to get into the airline business, well, your startup capital is going to be starting with the letter B for billion, right? If you want to open up a shawarma stand, a couple hundred dirhams in I keep saying dirhams, sorry, dinars, and you're off to the races, right? Government regulations. Here's a breakdown of different ways that we can segment our market. So again, in your business plan, when you talk about who your target market customer is, I don't want to say give as much information as possible, because you could say our target client is, and you'd list all these things, and you've got a target market of one person, right? Maybe mention the 3 or 4 that are the most important. Age, gender, income, probably some of the biggest ones. Again, it would partly depend on what is your product or what is the service that you're in fact offering. Okay. But we're cool with the idea of target market. Pretty straightforward. Again, like most things we're going to look at the next few hours, to give you a taste of it, you can go into much more depth on the internet or in your textbook should you desire. Behavior is an interesting one because people often will they won't think about this behavior, but very often behavior can be a big one. Sports, hobbies, interests like that. Okay. Well, how do we find out how big our market is? And part of it is a little bit of educated guesses, and part of it is actual research. So you can't figure out how big your market is until you've done what we've just talked about, which is defining your target customers, and then getting an estimate on how many customers there could be like that out there. And part of this will be by starting out and saying, well, what's my geographical range going to be? Am I only within my city? Am I within my country? Am I within my GCC? Am I within the MENA area? Am I going globally? Determine penetration rate. That means this is the throwing the dart at the board a little bit. Penetration rate is how much of the market do you think you can capture? All right, and it can be a guess. A lot of people say it's $1 billion market. If I could get 1% of $1 billion, I'd have. All right. A lot of people will start out by thinking about maybe 5, 10, or depending on how new the idea is, maybe 20%. And when you look at the idea of total number of customers and penetration rate, there's a bit of a math calculation you can do there, and that'll give you the idea about your potential market size, which then lets you apply the market size data. Now, I put in a link here to a website, which you click on that, and it'll give you the formulas, and it'll give you the math that helps to do it. But generally speaking, okay, don't kill yourself in this section. Very straightforward. For potential market, we're looking for you to define it more generally. Okay? This is who we think our target customer is. There's about this many customers in the area. Getting into penetration rate, then you're really starting to impress people. Okay? And the math part of it is just a simple dividing one by the other. Okay? That's all that you could do with this. And again, this is me giving you the much more detailed version if you really wanted to get into it. Yep. The short answer is no. Okay? The short answer is getting down to, like, say, 3, 4, and 5? No. I'd say number 1 and number 2, yeah. Okay, number 1, defining who your customers are. Number 2, an idea of how big that market is. I'd say those are the mandatories. Those are the should, must do's. Okay? That's what people are going to want to know. That's what they're going to know. Because if you're a venture capitalist, And when it gets down to number 3, determining the penetration rate, and you're saying we think we'll be able to capture 20% of the market, they're going to go,
In what base?
yeah, based upon what, right? And you might have a very good reason for it, right? But that's one of those numbers they're going to want to rip apart. So at least the first 2. Alrighty, Porter's 5 forces. My goodness, there's a lot of information up there, isn't there? Anyone familiar with this?
Yes.
Whoa, look at you. Okay. Would anyone like to summarize Porter's 5 forces?
Yes.
I don't mean to go through each one. All right. Michael Porter, Harvard guru. Okay. Come up with 3 or 4 different frameworks to describe